Hello and welcome to another Steps of Sussex live chat. As I said, this is a live chat, so I'm hoping that people will drop in and I'll be able to answer as many comments and answer questions as possible. Should that be read comments and answer questions? Anyway, it's Sunday. Now usually, last week I said I might start doing like a Sussex Sunday, just to go through all what's usually in the press, all the press stories, the tabloid stories, the non-tabloid stories, that seem to appear magically on a Sunday. It's kind of funny that, isn't it? But this week, there hasn't actually been any really kind of, big tabloidy or regular type stories about Harry and Meghan specifically. So, as we know, there is so much going on in the world with the ongoing coronavirus pandemic that's all across the world, but also there is, what's made most of the news this week is, of course, the Black Lives Matter. Harry and Meghan news has kind of been almost pushed to the back. There are way more important things going on in the world to speak about, and I'm actually glad to say that for the most part, the newspapers here in the UK have actually been reporting on the important issues for once. So I'm going to say that's probably a good thing, that they're not kind of putting Harry and Meghan above all of the really big issues that are going on out there right now. However, just about an hour ago, I was looking at the different news channels, and I actually came across this story. Now, Sophie Wessex, the Countess of Wessex, she's spoken to the Sunday Times. Now, the Sunday Times is not a tabloid. It is a big broadsheet, fairly reputable, I would say. And this is an actual talk that she gave to the Sunday Times. And it involves, obviously, Sophie talking about her own children, but it does have implications for Archie. Now, way back when we were all talking about, prior to Archie's birth, we were talking about what titles Archie might have. And I remember saying, he's entitled to have the subsidiary title, the courtesy title, Earl of Dumbarton of Prince Harry. Then obviously after Archie's birth, it was announced that Harry and Meghan did not wish to take up any courtesy titles, and therefore he was simply styled Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. I remember saying at the time, things could change when Prince Charles ascends to the throne, because under letters patent, I think it was by George V, letters patent, which is laws that the monarch can sign into law themselves, that normally pertains to their own family. Those laws are still in effect from George V, and they say that the direct grandchildren of a monarch are entitled to be HRH and Prince or Princess of the United Kingdom. So, regardless of Harry and Meghan choosing Archie not to take on a subsidiary title, once Charles is king, Archie is effectively the grandchild. Well, he is a grandchild of a reigning monarch of the UK. Therefore, under the letters patent by George V, he's entitled to be HRH and Prince. And obviously the same goes for any other children that Harry and Meghan should have in between now and then. But it is unlikely that Harry and Meghan will choose to style Archie the HRH and the Prince of which he would be entitled to. Now, back to Sophie Wessex, because I've been saying the same thing for years about Edward and Sophie's children, James Viscount Severn and Lady Louise Windsor. They are technically HRH and Prince and Princess, very much in the same kind of vein that Archie, kind of the same position that Archie's in, obviously, although they were obviously entitled to it from birth because Prince Edward is the son of a monarch. So we know that Edward and Sophie chose not to style their children by the HRH and Prince and Princess. I said for years and years and years that in the future, when they get to a certain age, they will be able to choose. And this is the first time where a royal has actually come out and corroborated what myself and other people have also been thinking. So the Countess told the Sunday Times magazine it is highly unlikely that Lady Louise Windsor, who is now 16, and James Viscount 7 will use their HRH titles when they turn 18. So the age in which Archie will be able to choose for himself whether he wants to be HRH and Prince is age 18. For Sophie, for Lady Louise Windsor, she's got 2 years to decide. Sophie says, we tried to bring them up with the understanding that they are very likely to have to work for a living. Hence, we made the decision not to use HRH titles. They have them, and can decide to use them from 18. But I think it's highly unlikely. So obviously I'm not going to carry on reading all of that article because that's obviously about Edward and Sophie. This is Steps of Sussex. But I just thought it's important to point out that what Sophie has said very much has, similar implications. Archie is in the same situation as Lady Louise and James Viscount 7. When he gets to 18, and to be honest, I wasn't sure whether it was 16 or 18, but Sophie has corroborated that it is actually confirmed that it's actually age 18. So once Archie gets to 18, he will be able to choose for himself if he uses those styles and titles or not. I would probably say that Harry and Meghan will probably pretty much do what Sophie and Edward have done, and that is that even when Charles does become king, they will probably choose for Archie not to use those titles. But like I say, Archie will get a choice when he reaches 18. I just thought that would be quite interesting to point out because, that kind of story might have escaped people's notice with everything else that is going on. Let me read some comments. Let's go. So Alicia says, talking to Sean Johnson, no one does, but it'll be his birthright. Yes, it will be his birthright and it will be his choice. The most likely scenario is that he will also be brought up by Harry and Meghan to have an understanding that he will most likely need to work for a living in whatever field Archie wants to go. And I think it's important as well, when it comes to children of the royals, to also not pigeonhole them. It's a little bit different for George and Charlotte because, they are going to be eventually, it's his destiny to be king. Charlotte will most likely be the Princess Royal, so it's different for them. But the other royal children, I think it's very dangerous to kind of not pigeonhole them, because the most likely scenario is that they will have to go out there into the world of work, whatever that might be. But also, I think it's important that they follow their own dreams and their own aspirations. For some people, it's a destiny. For some people, are born into this lineage and it's their destiny. It's their path, and they don't have any choice over that. It is what it is. That is the stark reality of monarchy. For some children, George and Charlotte, I would say to an extent, and maybe even Prince Louis, they aren't really going to have much of a choice. That is their lifestyle. They could, however, obviously do what Harry and Meghan have done, and when they're old enough, they could choose to not take on that role. They could do something else. But destiny is a powerful thing, and George definitely would probably not be able to escape that scenario. However, there is the option of abdication, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But no, I think it's important not to pigeonhole children, and Archie should always follow his own dreams and his own aspirations, and I'm sure that Harry and Meghan will, give him all the tools that he will be able to do that in his life. However, should he wish to take on the HRH and the prince status, then that is his birthright to do so. Unless, of course, in the meantime, Charles issues a new set of letters patent, which limits the HRH and prince or princess to the direct line, i.e. through the firstborn, so through William's children, for example, which could happen. We know that Charles wanted a more streamlined monarchy. He could technically do that. Right, let's go up and see. Cheryl says, Meghan's speech is still trending. Yes, now, obviously with the Black Lives Matters movement that was reignited. I mean, it's been there for a while, but it was reignited by what's happened in the last week. and there was, of course, this social media trend that was going on where people posted a black square. Now, I looked at that trend, and even before, people were saying, well, you know, maybe, you know, posting a black square is all well and good, but there needs to be a little bit more behind just posting a black square. So even before people started saying that, what I decided to do was to use my platform. I have 100,000 subscribers on Royal Reviewer. I have over 5,000 on Steps of Sussex. And I wanted to use my platform to not just post a black square, which, you know, posting a black square, showing solidarity is one thing. But I also wanted to post some useful, actual, real information. So I did, in those videos that I made, which I put on Royal Reviewer and on Steps of Sussex, I posted the link to the Black Lives Matter website, because they know, you know, that website is all-encompassing. It tells you how you can help, how you can further the cause, and more importantly, it educates people. So for those people who might not really know what it's all about, I posted the link for, you know, something actual physical that people could actually go and do to educate themselves, or even just to find out how they can help. So I do hope that that was appreciated, and that my good feelings were shown in that, because I did that before people were saying, well, you know, maybe don't just post a black square, maybe post helpful information. So I did do that. Meghan also came under criticism for not doing for not making a post or speaking out about what was going on. But obviously, when she was due to make the Immaculate Heart High School graduation message, and she used the opportunity of doing this message to speak directly to those students, but also the wider world, because as we know, the message was shared. So immediately, once that message was out there, I put the full message on Steps of Sussex. And I very much let Meghan speak for herself. I didn't put any voiceovers, I didn't do any intros. Meghan said what she wanted to say, and it came across for me as a viewer as being very heartfelt. Of course, she referenced her own experiences. You know, she was saying, how much, all these different people who have suffered at the hands of brutality and injustice, how their lives mattered, how Brianna's life matters, how George's life matters, how everyone's life matters. And, it's definitely added something to the conversation. And yes, people are still trending Meghan's message. So Meghan did obviously eventually use that platform to express her feelings, but she did say that she wanted to make sure that she was saying and doing the right thing. Also, we know that if I kind of go to the article, I've got loads of windows open. I think it was Bazaar.com that revealed that Harry and Meghan are holding meetings behind the scenes about Black Lives Matter. And the direct quote is that they want to make sure that they are educated and connected to the issues of police brutality and the Black Lives Matters movement. The article goes, earlier this week, Meghan gave an impassioned graduation address to high school students and discussed the Black Lives Matter movement. And of course, I think that was quite a poignant and quite a specific decision to do it through that vehicle of talking to students, because I think very, very much there's lots of talk about, the Black Lives Matter movement being either a social issue or a political issue. And in my mind, it's not helpful to pigeonhole it as any. It very, very much is a social issue, but it's affected by politics, because the main way that we can help combat injustice is through education. And a lot of the times, I can speak for the UK, politics influences the education. So everything is connected. It's unhelpful to say that it's just one thing or the other. It's everything. And politics is very, very important in it, because here in the UK, you know, what the education minister, for example, what their opinions might be, influences directly what children learn. So I think it was very fitting of Meghan to speak through the vehicle of education, because I think she recognises, like a lot of people do, that this starts with educating people, and it's so important to get to the grassroots, which is young people. Young people are the people that are also gonna change things. It's the young people that are eventually going to change the world. It all happens through education, and I think Meghan's message was very well placed in the graduation message to Immaculate Heart High School, of which obviously she attended, so she has a big affiliation with the Immaculate Heart. Omid Scobie says, this is something that is incredibly personal to Meghan, especially given everything she has experienced. And as a couple, it is of course very important. They are both feeling it, just like the rest of us. And I think it was very poignant as well, how she mentioned her earlier experiences, where she said that, you know, she could see the ash falling from the sky when there was all the riots going on. And yeah, it was very impactful, and I wanted to let Meghan's message speak for itself. Omid carried on. Both Meghan and Harry have been quietly having meetings behind the scenes with people on all levels to make sure that they are educated and connected to the issues of police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement. Importantly, Harry and Meghan have been having private conversations with community leaders and people at every level to ensure that they understand current events. Another source to Bazaar says, by speaking to as many people and organisations as possible, it has been a way for them to feel connected to everything that's going on and learn more about the issues surrounding it. And, you know, this whole issue, the Black Lives Matter movement, is not just in America, it's spread all over the world. There are protests going on here in the UK as well, for slightly different reasons. I mean, we have our own issues, but it's going on. It's not just in America, it's global, and hopefully there will be real and positive change because of this. I mean, it's terrible that it takes, you know, brutality and someone's death to make a change, but we can hope at least that there will be some kind of change. Stephanie says, it's also politically convenient that it makes me uncomfortable. It is good to see that Meghan is not new to the humanitarian cause. No, she's been speaking about this for a long time. Also, why I mentioned about it shouldn't be pigeonholed as social or political is people obviously, you know, are looking at a royal family member's position and saying, well, you know, royal family members shouldn't speak out on political issues. But like I say, you know, unless you are the monarch, it's only the monarch who is not supposed to be political. There is no rule that actually says that members of the royal family cannot speak out on political issues. Most of the royal family take the decision that it's probably best not to. It's probably best to stay out of political issues because you avoid the criticism. But if you take, for example, Prince Charles has been outspoken on matters ever since the 70s, which could be described as political. Obviously, when he is monarch, things will have to change. He will be expected to be completely non-political. But there is no hard and fast rule that members of the royal family, whether they are senior working or otherwise, cannot speak out on political issues. And like I say, this is a sort of an issue where it's everything. It's not just social, it's not just political, it's everything. You know, the two are very much entwined. You know, the politics can affect the social, if you see what I mean. It's everything. It's an all-encompassing issue. It's not as simplistic as just saying it's one or the other. Alicia said, oh, hang on, she's talking to someone else. Let me find a comment. Hang on. I'm going up. Diana says, it's sad to see what the sixth in line Harry was abused for, his need for security, but Andrew still has it and not outrage. Also look at Sophie's house compared to the servants' quarters for Harry. I did make a video on Sophie's house, Bagshot Park, so do go and check that out. It's not on this channel, it's on Royal Reviewer, but I do explain about the funding, for example, of Sophie's Bagshot Park. Also, Andrew himself hasn't stepped back from royal duties. He has been made to step back from royal duties. Therefore, he is still having that royal protection. It's a slight detail, but it is one that obviously allows him to still have that protection. And it might not be, you know, the popular answer, but it's the truthful answer. Diane says, as Meghan trends, the rest of the family is still promoting themselves, covering costs of Andrew's housing and security. I mean, again, I am going to speak about Prince Andrew's and Sarah's, their chalet, which they have fallen back with on payments. I'll be speaking about that on my other channel. So I'm going to try and keep this very much about Harry and Meghan. Okay. Now, was there anything else? Do you have any other really burning issues before I depart on this Sunday, before I go? Yeah, so if you have any other comments, please let me know. Sean says, I'm so hopeful that Meghan and Harry will be successful in their future lives away from royalty. I don't see them returning. Again, we do not know what the future has to hold. I mean, a lot of people have spoken about... a lot of people have given their opinion on whether or not Harry and Meghan's decision to step back has been a successful one. And I've said this in previous videos, I'll say it again, just completely for clarity. The only people that are going to know whether this has been successful is Harry and Meghan themselves, because they are the ones that truly know why they made the move to go, to step back from the royal family, but also they know what their aspirations were when they stepped back, what they actually wanted to achieve. So whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the only people that can actually really truly judge whether or not this decision has been a success is Harry and Meghan themselves. And I would probably say that the only way that they would do that is going by how happy they are. And only Harry and Meghan can know, and it is unuseful for anyone else to speculate on whether or not it has been a success, because we don't know fully what they actually wanted to get out of it. So yeah, only Harry and Meghan will know if it has been a success. Yeah, good morning to everyone wherever you are in the world. And I agree with Mary's, nobody knows the future. Oh, thank you to Alicia, who says you like my hair. I can't do much with it, seeing as it's not been cut. Right, okay. I'm going to go now. I'm going to leave you all nice and peaceful on this Sunday. And yeah, I just hope that everybody stays safe wherever you are. I hope that everybody can find some degree of happiness and joy this Sunday, in whatever way that you can find some peace and happiness. You go out there and you find it, because I know I will be doing the same as well. In these strained times, we often need to look at some happiness and joy, and not just negative things that are out there. So, from me in Shropshire, mwah to you all. Until next time, goodbye.